All right, all right, all right. Welcome back, or welcome to Orange County's very own. I'm your host, Makai Louie. Thank you for being here. Man, we have an incredible episode. I got my boy Jake Olson on the set. Welcome to Orange County's very own, my boy.
I couldn't miss it as soon as I heard the title of the podcast, man. I couldn't blow you off. Not that I would ever blow you off. I'm just saying that Orange County's very own, dude. Come on,
Come on, OCVO, man.
come on.
Well,
I don't know how you're supposed to put a C in there though.
I know. For the real ones that know, man. We're going to try to figure it out. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much. If you're tapping into this right now, whether it's audio or visual, thank you for taking the time. There's a ton of content. I always say this, Jake. Like, there's so much content in the world that people can choose and pick from. But you chose to listen to this or to watch it on YouTube. So thank you. Thank you for taking time out. And we're really excited to have Jake Olson on the show today. And before we get into it, man, we're going to have a few announcements. First and foremost, this episode is brought to you by my family's hot sauce, Mr. Lava Hot Sauce, baby. If you haven't heard about it, go check it out. It'll be in the link in the description. Again, this is Mr. Lava Hot Sauce. You can find it on mrlavahotsauce.com. Literally the best green hot sauce you will ever taste in your life. It's no cap. But other than that, man, we're just gonna dive into this, Jake. I know you've done. Well, let me start off with this. Let me give the people an idea of who Jake Olson is. If you do not know who he is, first off, he's an Orange County native, born and raised Huntington Beach. Yeah,
Huntington Beach.
That's it, baby. He's a two-time author, inspirational speaker, entrepreneur, business leader, savage golf player, and we'll get into that as well. Today is also International Guide Dog Day.
It is.
And Quebec has meant a lot to anybody that has met the pup himself. So shout out to Quebec.
Shout out to Q.
That's it, baby. And more importantly, me and Jake met in high school. He's a Lancer for life as well. He's also a big boy, offensive lineman. He's been playing center since he was a young man. And we're just gonna go into your whole story, man. Like we were talking offline before we hopped on here, man. And I really wanted to start off with this too. I practice gratitude a lot, and I've talked about it on the show. To all of our viewers and how important it is to my process every day and to my fulfillment and my relationship with God. And I was talking to Jake about before this, and from the day that I met Jake and listened to his story, he has been a centerpiece to just my viewpoint on gratitude. And you'll have a better understanding by the end of this episode as to why. But this man is so resilient. When I think of the word resilient, overcoming adversity, challenges, you are that person for me, man. And I can't say thank you enough and show my appreciation to you, brother, for the life that you live and the life that you lead. So nonetheless, man, let's hop into this, man. I'm stoked.
Are you gonna get me to cry already?
But I'm gonna cry too. We'll see, man.
I'm gonna repay you for that.
Bro, your friendship has meant a whole lot to me, and even the way that we met, I think the first time that we really, really got to know each other was on that honors choir trip, man. So me and Jake go way back, man, and Jake is also just talented in so many different ways, man. And we met through choir. And we were on the San Diego trip, and we got room together, bunked together, literally bunked together on this San Diego trip. And we just from that point on, man, we just built.
You and Kavinga weren't sleeping in the same bed. So
and I was like, bro, there's no way I can do this.
So yeah, man, I dude, you guys, this man jumped over. I don't. Why didn't you guys just walk out in the hallway and cross the room? I have no idea, but you decided to jump over a gap between balconies on the second floor. I was like, dude, I'm just waiting to hear a big crash, man.
And those of you that don't know Kavinga, he was our left guard at Orange Lutheran. Tongan, big dude. At that time, I was a very big dude. We should have never been trying to scale any type of nothing. But we had to kick it with the boy Jake.
Man.
But man, such a great time, and just like definitely kicked off this bond that we had. And
Hey, we didn't even know at that point either that I was going to play football, you know?
Had no idea. At that point, it was just like, we were always seeing each other in honors choir and then throughout the halls and stuff. Because you were, 2 grades below me? Or
just
grade?
one.
Just one. That's
just
right.
One,
That's right. So, like, we weren't in classes together. It was strictly, like, a lot of the time it was just choir.
Choir, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got into football, which we'll get there. Yeah. We'll get there for sure. But I definitely want to give our viewers an idea of who you are and your story for people that don't know, because you are 100% blind. And that didn't just happen from birth. There's a whole story about it, and it's extremely powerful. And so take us through it, man. Take us from the beginning. And walk us through it, and get scientific with it too. There's a lot of our viewers that love health and science and things of that nature. So even myself. So
yeah,
let's hop into it, my brother.
So again, born and raised in Huntington Beach, never lived anywhere else. It's hard to move from Huntington. But when I was 8 months old, obviously I don't remember this. I was just a little baby, but my parents and some other family members had noticed a glow in my left eye, especially sometimes in pictures. There wouldn't be that, sometimes you see that red reflex in pictures. My eyes weren't doing that. And then also, again, you could kind of see a glow. And even when, they laid me down in bed at night, as a little infant, they would, in that low lighting, kind of, again, see this little, like, dot in the pupil. And they're like, what's going on here? So finally, they made the doctors really, take a good look at my eyes. And really, I went to the doctors a couple times even before this, and they just weren't necessarily taking my mom seriously. So finally, mom was like, no, like, literally, let's check his eyes, turn off the lights, let's get, the light. And sure enough, they saw something, and they're like, hey, you're right. What do you know? You're right. And thanks
for listening to
exactly. So then they sent her to an optometrist, actually. And the optometrist took obviously a better look in the eye with the right, more correct instruments.
Totally.
And she sat my mom down, and she drew out 2 circles on a piece of paper, and she shaded one in completely, and she shaded the other one half. And the one on the left, she said, these are your baby's eyes. The one on the left, this eye's completely tumor.
Wow.
And really what that glow was the tumor reflecting light.
That's
so
crazy.
They were actually, that tumor was so big in that retina. So they diagnosed me with retinal blastoma, tumor obviously existing in the retina of the eye. And so the one in my left eye, again, was so big. The fear with retinal blastoma is that it can move from the retina easily through the optic nerve into the brain. It's a blastoma tumor, which is a very fast and aggressive tumor. And so if you don't treat it and can't cure it, it will easily spread to the brain. And then from there, it's virtually unstoppable. So once again, you're kind of left with this balance between trying to cure it, making sure it doesn't spread, and costing you your life. The last option to really make sure you don't lose your life is just removing the cancer, just taking it out. Well, what does that mean? It's in the retina of your eye. You're having to take out that retina. You're having to take out that eye. So in my left eye, we were scared even at that point that it already spread.
And so, this was at what age were you at?
8 months old.
8 months old. My gosh.
So they were already afraid that left eye was like it had already spread. Very fortunately, it had not. Which was a big blessing, obviously.
God willing, yeah.
But there wasn't even time to treat it. Like, they didn't even want to screw around with it at all. They're like, we just got to get it out. Like, it is a miracle this thing hasn't spread. Let's get it out.
Yeah.
So they removed my left eye really soon right thereafter. So never saw my left eye. Obviously never remember seeing my left eye. That right eye, though, the half-shaded eye, that tumor was only about half as big. So very fortunately, they felt comfortable enough to treat that tumor. And after some chemo and some laser treatment as a little baby, again, I don't even remember that. The cancer did go away, which was great.
That's insane.
So that cancer goes away, and we're very happy about it.
Yeah.
A year goes by, 2 years go by, 3 years go by. And we honestly think at this point, especially with pediatric cancer, the more time that goes by, eventually you clear it.
Right.
You're not going to get that pediatric cancer when you're 13, right? Like, a couple years go by, this thing hasn't returned. Like, great. When I was a 5-year-old in kindergarten, we went for an annual checkup, and unfortunately, the cancer was back.
dude.
And
Just
honestly,
a normal checkup, or like
just a normal checkup, yeah.
Wow.
And this time it wasn't clear, and there was a tumor there. And not only was a tumor there, it was like leaking this fluid that made it even the chances of spreading even higher.
Wow.
And so there was some fear in that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were actually trying to treat it, and it just wasn't reacting. The fluid wasn't going away. The tumor wasn't really shrinking. And my parents and the doctor had really actually come to the decision that they were going to remove my right eye.
Wow, dude.
And this
which to the audience, man, like that is, you know, I got a baby boy. Like I could not imagine what is going through your parents' heads.
Yeah, I don't like to imagine it, man.
I know.
I don't like to imagine it. It's too much, dude.
Yeah.
So they were willing to do that.
Yeah.
I kid you not, this was
to
around,
protect your life.
Yeah.
You know?
So around first grade, this is now around first grade, I decided to, because at this point I kind of know what's going on from the fact that like I just have cancer and things are scarier than, you know, what other kids are going through. And so I decided, you know, my parents grew up in the church, but I decided that I really wanted to take that personal step with my relationship with God.
Yeah.
So I decided to get baptized.
Mm-hmm.
And even the pastor was like, you know, I want you to know what this means and whatnot. I had to do all these like these little kid booklets, dude, to make sure like I like
truly understand.
Yeah,
what that
truly
means.
understand what that meant. And I got baptized, man. And we went in for the checkup 4 days after I got baptized.
Yeah.
This was gonna be like the last checkup, really, just to see if there was any progress with the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
If not, they were taking out my eye.
Yeah. As fast as possible, right?
As fast as possible, pretty much, just because, again, you don't want to screw around with it.
Mm-hmm.
The cancer was gone.
Oh, my God.
It was, there was, like, the fluid I was talking about was gone. The tumor was gone. There was no sign of anything.
That's powerful, man.
Anything. And,
that's powerful.
And, like, no one, you know, no one, I mean, literally the doctor had to, they're like, let's go back and take more photos. Because, like, obviously, these ones didn't turn out, like, yeah, like, are you sure these are the right ones? Like, I mean, dude. And
you're telling them, hey, I got baptized a few days ago, gave my life to the Lord,
exactly,
and like this
man.
is gone.
It was a complete miracle.
That is
complete miracle.
Phenomenal.
So the cancer stayed away for another couple years, and then the cancer did come back though.
Yeah.
And so then that kind of obviously started a vicious cycle of treating it. The cancer would kind of go away, it would come back, it'd go away, it'd come back, it'd go away. And we threw everything we could at it. We threw chemo, we threw radiation. We even flew to New York a couple times, going into 5th grade to get some experimental treatment at the time. We threw everything we could at it. But eventually, when I was 12 years old, in the fall of 2009, in 7th grade, that cancer came back for its 8th time in my right eye. And so
8 times.
8 times. And finally, the doctors had a different message, and that was kind of what I told you. We aren't comfortable treating it with any of our existing options. Why? Because you've kind of maxed out on chemo. We can't use chemo anymore. Wow. You've maxed out on radiation. We can't give you radiation anymore. And these other treatments aren't probably effectively going to cure this cancer. So all you're doing is rolling the dice of when is this thing going to spread? When is this thing going to take your life? So
that's so deep. And what age are you?
12.
Dude.
So again, you know, the only option there is just to remove the cancer and remove the eye. Obviously, that meant removing my right eye and my only eye. So that means going obviously completely blind. So that's kind of the reality that was presented. And yeah, man, as you can imagine, it was very surreal hearing that, just given how much we fought for it.
Yeah, I want to stop here for a second, because at 12 years old, like you've only experienced so much life and so much challenge and so many things. Like reach back in your memory and like talk to me about that stage. Like, what things were you, like, obviously you had given your life to the Lord, right? And like talk to us about that process of how you were overcoming things mentally, and just that process, you know?
Well, you know, I think one of the beautiful things, and I do say beautiful, like one of the beautiful things about facing cancer for those 8 times, man, it made a fighter out of me. You know, it gave me a spirit of fighting. And, you know, I was at a point when, you know, by the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th time the cancer would come back, we'd get a bad news at the doctor's office. You know, I'd be on the ride home from LA, just like, hey, Mom, it's gonna be okay. Like, we got this. Like, let's go through the treatment. Like, we got it. You know, like, I just wasn't phased, you know? And so, man, when I found I was going to go blind, now I wasn't like that.
I know. Yeah.
But I had a fighting spirit in me, an incredible fighting spirit that
it is incredible.
You know, obviously there was a lot of emotion in that, but kind of that spirit of resilience that you talked about was already in me. So I just, you know,
God was sculpting it in you, man, for real.
So I'd say that's kind of to your point of like what was going through my head. Like, you know, we could talk about those other emotions, but, you know, just to be able to have that under my belt, the past 12 years of battling that cancer really prepared me for this, obviously what was going to be my biggest challenge.
Dude, and it's like, it's going back to like what we were talking about on the drive over here, man. Like, God was preparing you for the impact you were going to make in this world at 12, at 9, at 8 months years old. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it's, like you said, beautiful in that way.
It
you
is.
know?
Yeah, no, I mean, you could sit there and you can, you know, ask for all those years, hey, why isn't this cancer going away? You know, why can't this thing just be one and done? Or why does it have to keep coming back? Why every time we beat it, does it have to come back 6 months or a year later? Like, this isn't making any sense. It's, you know, especially after that whole miracle happened, right? Like, when I was, you know, 6 years old, and
like people will fold.
Yeah, and
most people fold.
You wonder why, and like here we are. I mean, obviously, I've seen even more incredible things come from why that happened. But literally, if I faced that cancer once, didn't have it for, you know, 10 years, and then had it again, I don't know what kind of mental spirit I would have. I don't know what kind of fighting spirit I would have. I had that fighting spirit because my whole entire childhood was fighting cancer.
No doubt. It's incredible, Jake. It really is, man. Like, and we have so much story to go through, but going back to like where everything started, right? Like, God was just sculpting you, brother. And he, you know, he does put his biggest fights to his biggest warriors, and the ones that are truly gonna, man, that's powerful. Let's keep going. Let's keep going, because there's some good stuff coming.
Yeah. So,
well, not necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I got you. I got you. There's some good stuff coming. Here, let me tell you how I'm going blind here. So,
Jake's also a comedian, by the way. Go follow my boy Jake Olson. If you're not following him, please tap in. He's on like every platform you could think of. Go tap in, man. You're gonna get a kick out of his content. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. And Quebec's in there too. If you love dogs,
of course. So October 1st, we found out this information, and there's no like the cancer at this point wasn't, you know, big and scary like before necessarily.
Yeah.
So there wasn't like this mad rush to get my eye out, if you can kind of phrase it that way. There just was an understanding that no matter what we did, it wouldn't cure it.
Yeah.
So I did actually have about like a month and a half of being able to see still.
Yeah.
So the surgery wasn't scheduled until mid-November. So, you know, I could kind of ask you, and I like to ask people this, just, you know, hey, if you knew, we're recording this at the end of April, so let's say I'm going to tell you middle of June, you're going to lose your eyesight for the rest of your life.
Yeah, man.
When the next month and a half would you want to see? What would you want to do? What would you want to put in your head?
I want Brody's face in my face.
There you go.
24/7.
Well, so that's what I'm saying.
All
so
the beautiful things that mean something to you. Yeah.
That's what I kind of wanted. I, you know, spend time with my family, permanently implement those faces in my head, and see a bunch of cool things and whatnot. But obviously, being a Southern California native, growing up a huge USC
OCVO,
fan,
baby. Yes, huge USC fan.
I wanted to see as many USC games as possible.
Yeah.
And it was the fall, so that made it obviously football season.
Beautiful.
Coach Carroll, through different avenues, our friends, our neighbors.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how did just to back it up too, because like, we've like people that know Jake know the relationship that him and Pete Carroll have, the friendship, not even relationship, the friendship that they have. How did that stem? You said networks, like.
Well, so yeah, so literally the house 2 doors down to my right, growing up, like she was a junk professor at USC.
Okay.
So she somehow got it to the athletic department. A couple of our other family friends knew players on the team. They got it to the athletic department. So I'm sure like the athletic department kind of got this, like, these 10 different ways, like of like, hey, there's this little kid who's going blind. He wants to come see USC practice. Can we make it happen?
That's awesome.
Coach Carroll heard that, invited my family and me up, and like made us feel more welcome than I could ever describe. I got there to pre-practice meetings. I didn't even know this was going to happen, but Coach Carroll got up in front of the team and said, "Hey, before you go in here, you know who's in the house." He points to me, and the whole team starts chanting my name. And like Coach wants me to walk to him, and then
That's badass.
I go sit next to my favorite player at the time, which was the center, Chris O'Dowd.
Yeah.
And so basically,
Respect to the O-line, baby.
Respect to
I
the
love
O-line.
that about you,
Dude.
bro.
That was one of the more unique parts of the whole story, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. Talk about it a little bit too.
Yeah. So basically, from that practice on, Coach Carroll, I'm sure, had no idea who I was, what I was going to be like, what my family was going to be like. But
True.
that day at practice, we just connected with the players. Coach Carroll, I think, saw himself in me to an extent.
Yeah.
And we just built this natural relationship between everyone, and it became so much more than I think anyone ever imagined it could be.
Yeah,
And
so beautiful, man.
those relationships with Coach Carroll and those players I still have today, but just the way they surrounded me during that time, like it gave me such joy and hope that was really obviously hard to find in that situation.
Dude. Yes.
So
and you've talked about it before. Like these guys like really rallied around. Like when you say like it's not to say this light guys. Like these guys really immersed themselves into Jake's life.
No, man. I mean, they were calling me at nighttime, like texting me. Like
so cool,
Matt Barkley was calling me, giving me Bible verses. Like these guys were wanting me to come hang out with them. Like just like around USC. Like I was like their little brother. Like I literally was just their little brother, and it literally. You see all those kind of Make-A-Wish or kind of those other documentaries they make where the kid gets the one day with the team and like everyone's obviously so cool with them or whatever. I'm not saying that's not genuine. I'm not saying like that doesn't make an impact.
Totally.
These guys became my big brothers. Like
That's so cool.
It was almost like I was like their little cousin that they grew up with, and like here they were trying to just give me their time and love, and like it just. I couldn't explain it. I really just it's hard to even explain how genuine and authentic that whole experience was.
So beautiful, man. And you immerse yourself into the O-line more importantly, right? Because
Yep.
I want to talk about this piece.
Yep.
Because I mean, first and foremost, man, the O-line just never get enough limelight, never get enough chatter. They just
I know,
they're
right?
always getting the heat, man.
Well, so when they announced Chris O'Dowd, like I got up there that first pre-practice meeting. Coach Carroll's like, this is Jake. He's gonna be hanging out with us today. Come up and say hi to him. He's also gonna be hanging out with his favorite player, Chris O'Dowd, and all the teammates. You know how everyone is. They're all like, who? Everyone's like, who? Like looking around. Like of course, like and Chris,
Had to chat him
big
up.
20-pound like center comes running down. He's like, yeah, like screw you receivers, screw you like quarterbacks. They're picking me.
Yeah. And then at that time, you got Matt Barkley, who's one of the biggest quarterbacks in the game at that time. Too. And you're like, nope, I want the center, baby.
Yeah. So
I love it.
That was a really funny part about the whole thing.
So cool. And you're like, and like you said, you're in pregame. I mean, you were traveling with the team, no? Like you were in there.
Yes, I mean, dude, like I traveled by myself and it was on the team flight, but I went to South Bend that year to go to Notre Dame, but was in that locker room on the field before or after. I mean, literally, I drove with Coach Carroll to their when I was at the Collie, like the team hotel on Friday night, and then spent the night in the team hotel. Then drove with Coach Carroll on the bus to the game, walked to the Trojan walk.
Man, that's beautiful.
Saw all this, walked down the peristyle, walked in the locker room, was able to see. And the crazy thing about it, I mean, we'll get to it, dude.
Yeah.
But who would have ever guessed that, like, putting those images in my mind would give me the mental imagery that, like, I would call upon when I was doing that same thing as a player.
Yeah, dude. Incredible. And those of you that don't know, Jake ended up becoming a USC football player. And like he said, we'll get in.
Way to spoil it, dude. No.
Well, you just spoiled it. What do you mean?
I teased it. I teased it.
You're a lot more subtle than I am, bro.
You just went. No, I'm kidding.
But like you said, we'll get there. But no, you bring up a great point, and like I just commend you, man, for at the time in your life, like understanding and having the awareness of yourself and your situation from a long-term standpoint. Because a lot of people, even myself, I could imagine myself at that age, like I would be folding. I would be the person that is gravitating towards, wow, this is really hard. Like the only thing I'm focused on is I'm losing my sight. I'm gonna lose my sight. I'm never gonna have like whatever, all those negative thoughts. But
I mean, they tormented me. Don't get me wrong, man. I mean, that tortured my psyche for that month and a half.
I bet. I bet. But you know what I mean, though.
No,
Like, you had that element to you, though, brother, that is so important. And I feel like is not even, this is what I wanted to say a little bit earlier, like, is recognized enough in the sense of your mentality towards this. Because in any bucket of life, your mentality is what drives you forward as your energy, your force, your impact and value in this world. And at such a young age, God placed this, like I said, this awareness in you to take hold of the present moment, which so many people, and Pete Carroll literally built a program off of this. So something you actually may not know about me, Jake, is I actually compete to create. You know Pete Carroll's mindset coach with Michael Gervais?
Yep.
You've probably have you met Michael?
I've done his podcast.
Have you? Yeah. I'm gonna go check it out. Those two men mean a great deal to me. Because I went through that course and going back to my
Well, I knew them like when they were creating that, bro. Like that was like when they were creating that. So I was very early on.
What?
With that. Yeah, I've known Michael.
Okay,
since,
wait, we
since
gotta stop here.
12-year-old.
We gotta. Okay, wait a minute, dog. So let's stop here for a second. So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But going back to what we were talking about earlier in the car, the transformation things, and people know this about who's been following Orange County's very own. Back, I think it was in 2020, like December 2020. It was a tough time for me, for a lot of people. But my company, Aerotech, at the time, and our director, Bo Pack, had taken this course, and he started trying to implement it into our practice for all like new hires and everything else. And at the time, because it's pretty an expensive course, you know, a lot of the time it's for enterprises and whatever the case might be. You could do it individually; it doesn't matter. But nonetheless, I went through this course, man, and it really, really set me off into, honestly, it was the Kickstarter into who I am today and the things that I'm doing. And that course was just so impactful, and I've shared it with a lot of people. But so it means a lot to me. So I'm really curious. So talk to me about that relationship and knowing them, you know, even going through the creation process, and then I'll circle us back into your story.
Well, again, I to be honest with you, I forget if I met Mike while he was at SC, because I think he was at SC with Coach Carroll, but
I know he was for sure a part of the Seahawks org.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. That's why after Coach Carroll left, that 2009 fall was his last season at SC.
Yeah.
So he moves up to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just shows you all the authenticity of this. Here I am now, an 8th grader. A year after going blind, Coach Carroll's moved to a different state, a total different league, has no reason to like stay in contact with me, really, right? Like no one would blame him, no one would say anything if he just never reached back out.
Right.
Nope. Flies my family and me up to Seattle, introduces me to the team, has me on the field beforehand, after in the locker rooms, hanging out with Marshawn, or well, I guess at that point, Marshawn wasn't there. Maybe he was, I forget. Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah. Totally.
So like, literally, and that was like.
Do you have Hasselback?
Yes, Hasselback was the quarterback at that point. So literally has me come and meet everyone, and that's where I distinctly remember Michael, and like, so that was at least since 13 years old. I don't know if he was there when at USC I was 12, but
got you.
But yeah, man, from that point on, I mean, I was up at Seattle different games. I mean, I still go up there and see him. You know, at least I try to every once a season.
Yeah,
I've been to both Super Bowls with him.
You were at both of them?
Both of them, man. One was a lot better than the other.
Dude, yeah, well, yeah, obviously. Well, talk to me about the win. Was that just insane or what?
I mean, it was like euphoric, bro.
Oh, dude, I couldn't imagine.
I mean,
talk about the genuineness though of the well, not, you know, tell us, but like, I want to circle back to the genuineness of Pete Carroll and like what, like you said, man, he didn't have to do that.
Dude, I mean, I've been to his, like at one point, I was up there just one random like summer day.
Yeah.
Went over to his house, and him and I went jet skiing, and he
what?
Yeah, he let me drive the jet ski. Yeah, there's a video on YouTube with it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna look that up for sure, bro.
So,
Jake on a jet ski whipping it with Pete.
No, seriously. Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah. So, his right hand man for a long time was named Ben Malcolmson, and Ben says like, me and Pete are the same person, just 50 years apart. And like, I kind of see it to an extent. Like the qualities. Talk about just a positive. I texted him that night after they lost to the Patriots, probably in the most horrific fashion in Super Bowl history, right? Mm-hmm. And I texted him. I drove home from Glendale to Palm Desert that night. We got home at like probably 11:30 midnight.
Yeah.
I texted him then. I said, hey, you know, coach, I know tonight was rough. Just thanks for having me out. You're still the best coach in my mind and everything like that, right? Dude texts me back like 20 minutes later. Goes, hey man, how you doing? Like, wasn't that just like great? No, I was just like what is going on
said
here,
it was
man?
great.
I don't know if he said it was great, but like his text back was just like you just caught him on some summer or some
He's walking on the beach.
Yeah, just like I was like, what is going? Not like thanks, man, this is really tough. Like appreciate you coming. No,
it
was
not sulking in it.
It was, hey man, how you doing? Like it just was the funniest thing, man. I'm just like, oh my god.
That dude is a savage when it comes to man. His mindset and his driving with competition and
So and that was just
and I agree with Ben's statement on that, bro, because even since from the first time I met you, bro, I gravitate towards people who align to my mindset and the way that we live lives and things like that and the things that we talk about and discuss. And dude, you were far beyond your years, even from when I met you, and you were probably what, 16, 15?
15, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And again, just from a respect standpoint, brother, like from the time that I've met you, I've had nothing but respect for who you are and like the mentality you put into it.
You're really buttering
the
me
comedy,
up on this.
But more importantly, the comedy, bro. Because anytime I come to Jake, it's almost in the same sense of like what Pete's saying, like or like how Pete reacts. Like maybe there's some down stuff going on, but like, bro, you will always find the light in it and somehow bring some comedy into the piece, which I'm not always one to lead with that notion. So I've always appreciated that about you too.
Thanks, man. Sometimes I think I'm crazy, but
nah, it's hella funny.
But talk about competing. We can kind of use this as a segue. But
yes, please.
Being around Coach Carroll, around that kind of compete mindset, really did influence me during that time. Which was, hey, I'm going blind. I have a real decision to make here. Am I going to still challenge myself to do the things that I love in life, to go out and do the things I know I can do, despite not having eyesight, or am I going to sit here and just tell myself, well, I can't do that because I don't have eyes. Well, I can't do that because I don't have eyes. Well, I can't do that anymore because I don't have eyes. And having that nature, just like find a way to compete, played in my head, and I took that to being a good student still, trying to be the best student I could be and get into high school and, all that stuff, but also to sports. And that's, when we came across golf and football.
Yeah, dude.
And like that really mindset allowed me to tell myself, hey Jake, I know you can't see, but let's still find a way to compete in golf. Let's still find a way to compete in football.
Find a way. Dude, find a way. This is the stuff I talk about, Jake, when I'm thinking about my life and I think about excuses, the things that I tell myself, I can't do this, I can't do that. Bro, for y'all that are watching this, man, understand the application. There's one thing to think, to have the thought process, but the application. All right, keep going, man. I'm sorry. That's just it's It's powerful, though.
I love it.
It's so powerful, bro, because so many people dwindle in the thoughts.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
Yeah.
We dwindle. We all dwindle. It doesn't matter where we're at.
Well, and to the kind of caveat of finding that way is my personal definition of resilience is like if there's a will, there's a way. And the resilience where people get caught up is they think until they find that way, they can't have a will.
Yeah.
And they think that relationship's inverse. I found out in life that no, the first choice is having that will. The will, I'm going to move through this.
Yeah.
Don't worry about having a way. Guess what? I had no idea how I was going to do 99% of the things after losing my eyesight. I had no idea. Like everything you do is with your eyes, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I do.
So think about all the things you have to start wondering. How am I going to continue to be a student? How am I going to do this? How am I going to get dressed? How am I going to hang out with friends? How am I going to drive? Everything, right?
Yes.
I didn't know a way to do those things. I had no idea. But I had the will to continue to want to do those things, and I was going to do those things. I had the will to move forward through those things.
Hell yeah.
Then it's about finding the way. And as long as you have that will there, you're going to find a way. Like, you will find a way. So, like, that's just something that, like,
Speak
a
that
caveat
truth,
to, like, you're saying find a way. Like, have the will first.
Yeah.
Like, if you're having a hard time finding the way, go back a step and ask yourself, do you have the will? Establish that, and then go find a way.
Yeah. And we do, and on that point, bro, I truly believe every single human on this earth has that will.
They just need to tap into it.
Them.
Yep,
absolutely.
They need to tap into it.
Absolutely, and you're a living force with that, brother. Heck yeah, let's go. Let's keep going.
So basically, started playing golf, and we'll kind of get into that probably later. But football, because it just pertains to us.
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
So 8th grade 8th grade year, still in middle school, played flag football, was the center.
Yeah.
And I figured, hey, I could just learn how to like snap this ball back, and no big deal. Just like person in front of me, I'll just kind of throw my shoulder and like my hands, and just like once I got my hands on, I'll just give them like a shove, kind of thing. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's flag football. You know what I'm saying?
Totally,
like whatever.
totally. And you're blind at this point.
And I'm blind at this point.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we find
still
out
snapping the ball.
We still find a way to do it.
Right to the chest piece. Come on.
Yeah. So we still find a way to do it, and I had fun.
Yeah.
But then I go to Orange Lutheran,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're telling me it's tackle football. It's Trinity League.
Yeah.
With boys coming in looking like Mackay their freshman year. You know what I'm saying? I was
Straight up.
like, okay, I was screwing. I'm not playing tackle football. I can't be a center. One, there's more responsibilities now with tackle football. You got to call out where the Mike linebacker is. You got
Totally.
protections, all this stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Not to mention who you're going against. So, like, I was like, okay, I can't play football anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, I told myself that my freshman and sophomore year of high school, that
Wow.
I couldn't play football. I forfeited that mindset.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to have a will to want to do the things. Blindness isn't going to rob me of the things I love. I forfeited on that, man.
Yeah.
And I kind of
you love football.
I love football, dude. And so I kind of came to the realization halfway through my sophomore year. I was like, I am not going to look back on high school being like, well, man, like only if I tried to find a way to play football. Like I was not going to look back and regret not playing football, or at least not even trying to play football.
Yeah, dude.
Like, so I'm sure I talked to you about it. I talked to everyone.
100%.
I'm like, is there a
I'm like, I know JD was in your ear.
Yeah, JD was in my ear.
1,000%. Adam's in your ear.
Adam's in my ear, and they start telling me about this long snapping position, and I'm like, well, what's that? Because I centered, right? I could snap with one hand, and I was like, well, I can kind of do that consistently. I know that to be true. So like, what's this long snapping position?
Yeah.
Well, I go down there. My end of my sophomore year. You guys are in spring ball.
Mm-hmm.
I go down there. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna show them what I can do with one hand. Snap with one hand, they're fine. I mean, they're fine, like pistol or shotgun snaps. So they really were.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're like, okay, well, that's different. Like we like long snap, put like two hands on the ball, and here's a holder, and like, bro,
Totally different.
I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I don't know how to. I'm a center too, but
Yeah.
I cannot long snap.
I thought it was like the same, but no. So these coaches were like, okay, like.
And who was this had to be
Peterson.
Coach Veese
Yeah.
and Coach Pete, yeah?
Yeah, Coach Pete and Coach Veese were there, and they were just kind of like what the hell?
What is happening? Yeah.
Like this blind kid comes, he doesn't even know what he's doing. Like what are we supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
And so
That's so
Pete's
funny.
like, well, like maybe V's can show you a few things. Probably thinking in his head like, let's just get past this, you know?
Right.
And
He's like, I'm not trying to ditch, I'm not trying to like ditch the idea, but come on. Yeah.
So literally, I just come back. I come down to team meetings the next day. I have no idea who anyone is. Like, I know you. I know like a certain type of people. But I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, where I'm going, and I'm just like, is this like actually gonna be a thing? I don't know. And it's like Coach V's comes up to me. He's like, all right, I want you like meet me in 10 minutes out there. You and I are gonna go out there 30 minutes early. And sure enough, that's what we did that whole spring. And then guess what? Every day in summer, him and I met up, and we just kept practicing. He put me through drills. He taught me what it was like to, to actually do the technique.
Bless his heart, bro. I love that man.
Yes.
He's still there.
Yeah.
He's coaching right now.
And we come back in August.
Yeah.
I show up at fall camp, bro. I snap to the punter and the holder, and they were like, hey, this is better than anyone on our team right now. Like,
yeah, because we lost. We lost Chase, right?
Yeah,
You went to Utah at that
exactly.
time.
So there's a big vacancy there.
Yeah,
and like,
I totally remember that.
And so sure enough, man, like Coach Pete also was like, okay, well, let's really test this out. Let's find, whatever.
He's like, this kid's dialed compared to back in
exactly.
spring ball.
So sure enough, like,
talk about resiliency again.
Yeah.
You could have folded after that one session,
for
brother.
sure.
100%.
But then, we go through fall camp and we play our fall scrimmage, and we're finding a way where, with you and Adam to figure out like how to line me up and to make that a timely thing,
I want to talk about that process because there is probably no high school that has tried to figure out this type of process before, because it's special. It really is.
Yeah, and we had no idea what we were doing, so it was actually pretty complex to where it went to from there,
It did.
But yeah, we figured out that if basically Adam would line up he'd bring me to the ball.
Yeah.
And then
from the sidelines,
he would kind of get my feet square, and then he would back up. And then basically from there, he would get down and kind of like either yell out like left up one or right up one, just like the, little minor adjustments.
Yeah. And you guys had a dialed in communication style too.
And then he would clap his hands so I could hear where he was.
Yeah.
And then basically I would grab the ball, and like I said, I don't even know why we did this part. Like, this just seems like a unnecessary step, but I was so glad because like this makes you and I just so connected.
Totally, brother.
But you would tap my thigh when Adam would give you the thumbs up, like we're ready to go. And like once I had my tap, man, like I knew it was ready to go. And like
that's it,
I would just,
baby.
whatever, count to 1 or 2 and then fire back.
That's
so like
it. Yeah, I would be. So we were lined up and pretty much cross-legged. So my right leg would be on the inside. Yeah, and the inside, like behind and inside Jake's left foot, and the same thing for our right guard. And I would be literally bent over looking through my legs at Adam and be waiting for the signal, and he'd throw his hand out. And for the people that aren't watching, like, he'd throw his hand out, and I know that it was time, and I'd look up, I'd do a little deep breath, give Jake that tap.
By the way, the way you tapped me too, it wasn't like, come on. It was like this, like,
yes,
like, here we go, baby.
You
like,
know
it was
baby.
an awesome tap. Like, it was such a settling tap. Like,
that's it. We're cool, calm, and collected.
Cool,
baby.
calm, and collected, man.
That's
even out there,
baby.
But
and like the other point too, like part of the process is like while we're out there, the refs know that Jake's blind, and the team also knows to not touch the long snapper.
Yeah, I mean that's just the rules too.
It's the rules in general too. But there was also like a notice that was given out, and I'm bringing this up, Jake, because there was a few different times, bro, where someone tried to step up to the plate and touch my boy. Like straight up jump on top of his head.
There was a couple of times I got rolled for sure.
Totally.
I loved it every time, but
I know it. But like, dude, there was one specific where when you play football, and those of you who know, there are some games when you're pissed off.
Yes.
Every single snap, you are literally pissed. And something had happened with my girlfriend at that time, and I was pissed. And it was a homecoming game, and it was the best score. It was the best score as an offensive lineman that I ever had. But someone tried to test Jake on there, and I think it was like, I forget who we played, like Redlands or something.
Yeah, dude.
We weren't in Trinity League yet, but someone tried to jump on top of him, and I grabbed this dude by the chest piece and pancaked his ass. I put him straight on his back, and the ref said nothing to me about it, except when he picked the kid up and said, "Don't ever do that again." And then we ran off the field.
Dude, I just remember, too, just a couple of shoving matches that you just saying stuff afterwards, too, just like, bro, like, what do you, like, I'm not going to repeat it on the podcast, but, like, dude, I mean,
I get pissed.
No, dude, it was fun, dude. I mean, that's, like,
it's football, baby.
That's what I've missed, like,
I know.
That's the stuff I missed, and,
so happy you did that, brother.
So, yeah, man, then we started varsity junior year with you, and then, obviously, senior year once you left, which was sad.
I know.
But, dude, I talk about
who took over? Who was tapping?
Gamma. Shit. No, but so
Big
that's
Gamma.
the thing. My senior year, we didn't tap.
Okay, so that part of it got removed.
Yes.
See?
It wasn't Mackay.
I love it.
No one else can tap me but Mackay.
That's it, baby. I love it.
But yeah, man. So basically, then senior year.
You never messed up, by the way. For all of those that know, it was 100% across the board. I think we may have maybe one, but it was not like an actual, like, we got the ball was Jerry kicked it through the uprights. You feel me?
Dude, we were,
like, dude was dialed.
We were solid, man.
Absolutely. The process was refined. Shout out Adam. Great
Adam
holds.
for sure.
Great holds. Jerry.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's graduating from Akron, right?
Yeah.
He's about to graduate. Shout out to you, my boy.
So then senior year, like at this point, obviously, people know, Orange Lutheran has this blind long snapper. And
sorry, bro. Because back it up a little bit. During that, my senior year, your junior year, ESPN was basically following you throughout this whole journey.
Well, yeah, so ESPN did a piece on me when I was 12 going through that whole USC experience, right?
Yeah,
so they did like a follow-up piece my junior year then of like, hey, here's Jake now learning to play football. Remember him? Like he was whatever. So once I started playing football, actually, my relationship with USC got a lot more official, right? Because now, even though they weren't like actively recruiting me, the fact I played high school football meant that I was a recruit.
Yeah, exactly.
So all that kind of like personal, like, oh, Jake, we loved having you here at 12. Like, they couldn't do that anymore outside the lines of like, oh, you want to come? Okay, well, here's the days our recruits come. Oh, you want to go to the game? Okay, well, here's the recruits, ticket, whatever. Like,
wow.
So that's the thing. Like, that relationship kind of got a little bit like official /
a little bit
like,
more corporate.
Yeah, very corporate. That's a good way of putting it. So, but Sarkeesian was there now.
That's right.
And I remember I spoke to the team like during the summer camp, and I met Sark and whatnot. It was cool. And then going into my senior year, I actually participated in one of the Sark snapping camps, which was also fun.
Beautiful.
And then sure enough, that like fall, or no, actually it was the spring. It was the spring of my junior year, or no.
Senior
year. Yeah, senior year now.
Yeah.
And I'm talking. Actually, no, it was the fall, man. It was the fall.
Was it?
It was the fall.
So it was season.
It was season.
Or
Yeah.
elite. Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the fall, and basically, I was up at practice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I just was up there at one point. And Sark
Yeah.
came over to me during the field goal drills of the period,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Hey, this is your drill." I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "You plan on coming here next year?" And I said, I'm going to apply and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, you got the grades?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Like, I'm a really solid student." And he's like, "Okay,
4.0.
if you have."
Beast.
If you got the grades, you get in, man.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't know if you thought about your relationship with the team, but I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be on the team snapping.
Wow, dude.
And like as soon
you
as
must have just lit up
as
inside, dude.
As soon as he said that, I was like, all right. Like I was also kind of wondering what this was all going to look like. And if that's on the table, like it all made sense. I'm like, well, why not? Like seriously, why not? Like I know how to long snap, like why not? And so sure enough, I got in, and then that started off that relationship. Then as a player on that same team, that I was kind of surrounded by and got me through being blind at 12. Now here I am as an 18-year-old walking on that team, and that kind of started off what was obviously a magical 4 years where we made some history.
Absolutely incredible, bro. Absolutely incredible. Like you were going, like what you had talked about too, like what you were engraving into your mind as a 12-year-old and that month that you had, and even the years before as a USC fan, like, and being able to experience all the different places you stayed at. Like I talk to us about that too, like like living in blindness, and being able to remember and see those things, and now immersing yourself into the 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And like how was that experience for you? And then talk to us about that incredible moment. What was it? Was it against Washington?
So it was against Western Michigan.
Western Michigan.
Western Michigan. Yep. So
we got your first snap in, baby.
Yep.
Incredible, dude.
Basically, I thought I would want to picture what things look like a lot more when I was thinking about going blind. I'm like, here my life is going to be like me just going around. Hey, what does that look like? And honestly, you really don't do that. You like there's certain times you do.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm going to get to. But a lot of times I'm so focused on what I'm hearing or just what people are saying or like other senses that you kind of honestly forget like that you're not seeing. It's just the way you live.
Yeah.
And but the exception there is like sometimes you definitely do want to kind of picture what things would look like because you want to know what they would look like.
Yeah, totally.
But like one of those times is absolutely when I was playing football, just being able to imagine that collie and it filled and just everything about the grass and the USC red end zone with the yellow letters and like
the alley from the
exactly
locker room into the stadium.
So like,
dude,
I definitely called upon those images, which again was just such a crazy unknown blessing at the time that like I literally was doing that same walk. You know what I'm saying? Like I had all those images.
Yeah, dude.
And
now you got the element of like elevated smell.
Yes.
Elevated.
Yeah, dude. Hearing, just feeling the energy.
Feeling it. Yeah, dude.
So
cool.
The other cool thing about growing up as a Trojan fan and having that experience was that Trojan Nation obviously surrounded me just more than the team and Coach Carroll, but like the fans surrounded me during that time as a 12-year-old. And then they kept up with me as ESPN kept up with me and whatnot. And so when I'm walking on this team, like Trojan Nation's like, oh my gosh, like here's this 12-year-old that we prayed for and loved and like supported at way back then. So the coolest part, I think, honestly, about this whole story is that my success there was surrounded by a bunch of people who literally had been part of the story.
Yeah.
It just wasn't
That's a
like
good point.
I just wasn't this, it would have been a cool story still, but like this blind kid that, was really good at football in Utah that, Sark saw one recruiting trip and decided to give a chance, whatever. That would have been a cool story.
Totally.
But the fact that like all these fans, Trojan Nation, even just College Nation as a whole, like saw my story, were rooting for me, followed me, kept up with me, and then were able to celebrate the resilience that that everyone played a part in. And then dude, like that was like the special, like everyone was crying, everyone was celebrating because like
it was a powerful day.
It just was like,
I carved time out to watch that game. I don't remember where, like, well, I just knew you were on the team.
Yeah.
And so like I would always be checking in, and I just remember the energy even just through the TV, bro. You know, and you getting up there and throwing the sword up there, bro. Like, dude, just is so cool, bro.
Yeah. So I mean,
God is so good, man.
I mean, like
Bringing that full
I
circle.
tell people, like, you know, a reporter asked me after the game if it felt full circle, and of course it did.
Yeah.
And I gave an answer that ended up making, this was the quote that made the headline, which is, when I given that answer, I said, if you can't see how God works things out, I think you're the blind one.
Say that again, bro.
I said, if you
somebody needs to hear that, man.
If you can't see how God works things out, I think you're the blind one.
Oh, man.
And I meant it. Amen because, dude, I mean, like, come on, this is like,
that's right.
My story. You can't look at that and be like, well, like, it's coincidence. It's like,
yeah, okay.
Here's this 12-year-old who's literally going blind after battling cancer for 12 years. Here's this team and this coach that surrounds him, tries to love him, has no idea the relationship would become what it is. Relationship does become what it is. And then here, this kid, because of, again, we explained with Coach Carroll, like, just the mindset I was around and whatnot, and, and being around that football and loving football so much, I decided to be resilient. I decided to compete in that game.
That's right.
Then
never folded, bro.
Exactly, never folded. Then, well, I mean, I folded, I guess, for 2 years, but, you know, whatever. Like, we live and learn.
Not all the way, baby.
Not all the way.
That just sprung right back.
Which is a good kind of lesson of, like, it's never too late. You know, like, it's never too late to kind of make that decision and to realize, you know, admit to yourself, like, yeah, I let myself forfeit on my dreams of playing football. But then I came to the realization that wasn't ever gonna, you know, I needed to stop that.
Yes.
And so we did that, and then here I am, literally like 8 years later, snapping for the same team. By the way, inspiring other kids who, like, literally came down. You know, one of the most touching parts about my journey at USC was, you know, we had blind kids come to our practice, meet me. We had, you know, cancer patients from CHLA on the field before games wanting to meet me.
That's awesome.
And I knew, like, I was those kids, you know. I was those kids, like, knowing how cool it is to like, have me. I just, like,
goodness, man.
like, literally to be able to be in that same uniform with that same brands insignia on me, the SC, like, and that same collie, like, as a player now, being able to pretty much talk to myself 8 years later and what these kids are going through, like, and who they are, like, that just gave me the chills, man. Because I'm like, man,
it's giving
like,
me the chills right now, brother.
Yeah,
I can't, dude. And, like, you talk about the kids that are going through it, you know, similar to you, right? And
right.
The impact that brings, let alone the masses of people that have heard your story and chose to be impacted by it, you know?
Yeah.
I just think it's incredible, bro. Like, talking about full circle.
Yeah.
Not just the snapping.
Yeah.
You know, those opportunities that came through. And I'm sure that's just one of them, you know, and the many, you know, opportunities that got presented to you with kids that are going through that, man.
Right.
And like I think about it constantly as I practice gratitude. Those kids are doing, you know, they have a frame of reference. They have no excuse, you know?
Yeah.
There is no excuse to fold on yourself.
No.
Maybe it will take time, right?
No.
Maybe there needs to be a buffer. God needs to settle you down.
Right.
You got to go through some adversity.
No, I mean, it's not our time, you know.
Yeah.
Like, none of the things we're saying, like, happens right away, dude. Like, I told you, man, 12 years I battled this cancer.
Yeah, dude.
You know, like 12 years, dude. We that whole time, you don't think we were wondering, like, what, like, again, why isn't God, what, like,
yeah.
And then why at 12?
Especially with your faith, you know, and how
exactly,
you know, whole family involved with it too, having that faith foundation.
But I mean, like, it's kind of cool to, like, again, you know, do this sparingly, but, like, to try to get in God's mind and be like,
yeah,
like, at 6 years old, he's like, okay, like, Jake's gonna be this really awesome guy that I think I like. He's gonna be this awesome blind kid who's gonna, like, expire. I'm gonna let him go blind at 6. I'm gonna let it happen. Wait, never mind. No, actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have it go blind at 12 because Coach Carroll that'll be his last year at USC, and we're gonna get him around that. And, like, I mean, dude,
I know
like,
what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? Like, can't you imagine
the branches? Can't
you imagine, like, and, you know, not to say God doesn't feel that, like, I really do think God's crying with you. You know, I do think, like, every time I cried about going blind, like, God's right there crying, like, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. You know, I'm so sorry. Like, I would never want this to happen to you, but just wait. Like, I have so much more for you. Like, please just wait, because you're going to be sitting here smiling with me in a couple years once you look back and say, oh, wow, like, dude, I would have never played at USC if I didn't go blind, bro. I would have never been the inspiration I am if I never went blind. Like, all these things that just never would have happened if I didn't go blind. And, like, I can now, and I can't wait to see what's still going to happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm only 25, bro.
I
Like,
know, bro.
in 10 years, we could be at this podcast, be like, well, Makai, if I never went blind, I would never have done this, this, and this, and this now,
That's
too.
it.
Like, so,
That's it, bro.
like, I just think there's, not to say, like I said, that
because your story doesn't end here, brother.
No, it doesn't.
And that's what I want to talk about, because it hasn't ended whatsoever, because you're still driving forward. And let's talk about that too. So, like, well, after you had snapped, what year was that for you?
2017.
Okay, 2017,
So my junior year.
Your junior year.
Yeah.
So you spent the next year, obviously, with the USC team. Then you graduated.
Yep.
Talk to us about that transition, because I could imagine, right, like how people, dude. Here's the other thing, man. You got everybody in your ear, because there's this other piece of the element of life, right? You have one side where you got the cheering, or you got the other side where there's hate, and I'm sure you felt somewhat of both throughout your lifetime. But, like, talk to me about being able to handle the amount of noise that comes from the outside, because so many people are conflicted, in my opinion, from external noise, from how much they pour into what other people think about them.
Yeah. I mean,
talk to us about that and your mentality there, because, dude, from a child, you've been exposed to the world,
Yeah. Well, so, to your point, like, there's a huge external voice here of negativity, which is just the, it is a stereotype, but just the common thought process of what blind people can do and can't do.
Yes, dude.
Like they're
the limitations
that are put on, just like the fact, hey, you can't, like, because guess what, dude, people don't have that mindset of let's find a way. You know what I'm saying? They just assume
there's no third alternative.
There's no third alternative. There's no fourth alternative. Like, just because, oh yeah, well, of course he can't see the way I do it. The way I do it is that I do it with my eyes. So if like he can't do it this way, he can't do it. It's like, no, that's not true. Like, there's another way. We just have to find it. So
totally, bro.
Like, that's really kind of what I confronted. And man, like, I confront that in the professional world. I confront that all the time. And again, it's about, one, the mindset that I've always had, which is, again, I'm going to find a way. But then it's also, to your point, you have that other side. I have a group around me that's like, yo, we're going to find this way with you, because we see you're passionate about it. We see you love it.
Yeah. You own it.
That's contagious. We're going to go to war with you. And it's no different than what you did, bro. Like, as like, the perfect, I guess, example of this is literally what we did my junior year, which is like, coach probably sat you down. Was like, hey, Makai, I know this is going to be weird. The snapper can't see.
I remember the comment.
But here's the deal. You're going to tap his leg, and you weren't sitting there like, well, that's like, I decided to see the snapper. We wouldn't have to do. You're like, no, okay, perfect. Like, if this is going to be the way, like, let's do it.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's what you got to rely on, is those people. And that's literally, when I talk to people, like, and I speak, like, I bring up you guys as my teammates.
Yeah.
And you're obviously one of the more integral one, which is just like, you guys didn't bat an eye. You're like, sweet. That's awesome. Like, this is going to be different. So what? Let's make it work. And
I invite it. Absolutely.
And I mean, like, I hope you see the impact that allows in society just through me, which is like, when you have that mindset with someone, you have no idea what they're capable of.
No doubt, bro. And it's so powerful. I was just reading something the other day of what, like, what we're talking about now, like the limitations we could put on other people just because of what we see in them.
Right.
And not and like the ability that we truly have to see the untapped potential in other people, and to act that way, to talk to them. Not that it's technical. You're not putting a formula in front of them. You're not following a script. But the power that people can get from you when you treat them in that way is phenomenal. It really is. And that's a great point that you put in, man. And like I've said, man, I mean, it's just a blessing that God put us together in those elements, because they impacted me as well, and like not everyone gets to be in a position where they meet someone like you, Jake, and to be a part of their lives in those ways, like these critical just memories, that we'll have forever, bro. I'll never forget those snaps. Every single one of them, bro. I'll never forget it. I mean, it's football, but it's also like we're boys, and it's like, those are things you will never be able to take from me. Right. And it was just like you said, man, that it was different. And a lot of the time, guys, like in life, majority, like most stuff is different. Yeah. Most people's ideas are different. Yeah. And the more that you can invite those in, rather than stay selfish to what you think is right, the more like true synergy happens. Actual, like, stuff actually moves forward correctly, and you can bring a beautiful third, fourth, fifth, sixth alternative into the picture, everybody's happy. Everybody wins. And you're a perfect example with that, man. That's beautiful. Let's keep it going.
Back to your point, though, about treating people. I just wanted to give you this quote because sometimes
please.
I might mess it up to a little extent, but it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And basically it's, if you treat a man as he is, he will remain as he is. If you treat a man as he should be, he will become who he could be.
Yes. Bro, I literally just put this on my story.
Yeah.
I'm not like Goethe or Waldo, one of those.
Ralph Waldo Emerson, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Bro,
or it might be around. It might be if you treat a man as he could be, he will become who he should be.
Let me read it. Let me read this, guys. I literally posted this. I'm reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and this quote is in here. I literally 23 hours ago I posted this. Treat a man as he is, and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he can and should be, and he will become as he can and should be. Guys, do you understand the power in that? When you act upon it and you actually apply it, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, when you apply that into your life, the power and movement you can make in another person's life, bro. That is why we're here on this earth, guys. We are here to push each other forward. All the things that I see in these, in these times are like we see the separation in humanity, and it's just so important for people to understand that message and just that paradigm of life and how powerful it can be, not only for other people, but for you and your fulfillment, your happiness, things that matter to you, man. Like relationships matter more than anything. That's why we're here. We're here to be with each other.
Yeah. And
that's a beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up, man. That's
crazy. That's crazy that you posted that.
Bro, I'm telling you, I highlighted, bro.
That is crazy.
God is good, man.
And the only thing I would add to that is I've kind of mentioned it a little before, but like, if you're someone who's struggling and saying, well, I don't have a team around me who's rallying, or you're saying I don't have a big team, or I've never been able to get that. Passion is contagious. Like, passion really is a contagious thing.
Totally.
And if you go show someone your passion, guess what? They'll rally behind you. I promise you that.
Oh, yeah. When you own it like you do, bro.
Exactly.
When you own that, you feel you live in it.
Exactly.
You don't sway from it. When you sway back, the first thing you do is go right back to it.
Because guess what, man?
People
like,
gravitate to that.
That first time I ever tried to snap and I was horrible in front of Coach Peterson and Coach Beast, and I was like, well, like, I don't have a team behind me, that's not going to work. Like, I could have said, like, of course they're not behind me, because like, I haven't shown them the passion I have for football. They just think you're some weird kid who has some weird idea,
Right.
And imagine, even if once I learned how to snap, if I was out there the first time with you and being like, well, I mean, I don't really like this football thing too. My mom's making me do, like, you kind of be like, well, I guess I'll help this blind kid, but like, I mean, like,
I'm not convinced.
No
way.
The fact I'm like, you saw that in me, and like, what did you want to do? Because you saw that.
Absolutely rally behind you.
Exactly, man. Like,
absolutely.
You throw pancake some dude.
That's right.
On
baby.
homecoming for me, like, that's
ain't nobody touching Jake.
Like, but you
get out of here with that.
Did that because I'm sorry, but I passed on my passion to you, bro. I got you sick with my passion, dude.
100%. I caught the sickness,
You caught the sickness. So, like, if you're someone who's, like, struggling with that, man, like, just live in that. Work hard. Show people your passion for it. And I promise you, there's going to be some fools that come along the way that are willing to rally behind you, man.
That's it, baby.
Start building that team.
That's it. I love that. Thank you for that. Because people need to know that. You don't always need to start with that off the rip.
You don't.
And at the end of the day, man, like, you gotta be good in here. You gotta be good in here too, to have that passion, right? I think there are passions in life that come natural. I do, and I think it's even harder to share it with people because it does bring vulnerability, right? Because you could bring that passion. People are weird about it. Because you know how people are sometimes. They're not ready for it either.
Exactly. No, I mean, like I said, the chances are they'll probably start off negative.
Exactly.
They'll probably start off like just being like, well, this is a ridiculous idea. Questioning it and doubting it. But again, it is contagious. It will move people. Like, it will move people.
And there is something inside of you guys, whether you know it right now, and it's just in God's time and for Him to reveal it to you. But there is something inside of you that is just festering, dude. It's just festering inside of you to come out to impact this world in the right way. It is. But there's things and actions and thoughts that you have to disassociate with. habits that you have to disassociate with and ones that you need to apply to your life in order to do those things. And nonetheless, man, let's circle back into the story, my boy. Because that was absolutely powerful.
Yeah,
absolutely powerful.
So we graduated now, and yeah, man, one of the coolest things about going to SC, once again, who knows if I'd ever have ended up there if I never went blind.
Yeah.
But was my roommate, my suite mate, my freshman year was named Daniel, and Daniel kind of became my right-hand man.
Yeah.
He kind of started becoming my manager, like doing what my parents did in high school, which was kind of like someone reached out wanting me to talk or traveling with me. Like Daniel was the guy who started to do it. And
hold on, I gotta stop here too. There's a lot of points I'm gonna stop you at. Like I told you on the beginning, he's an inspirational speaker, entrepreneur. We're gonna get into that piece too. But you've done a lot of engagements from a young age. Mm-hmm. Talk about that experience and having, like, dude, you talk about energy. Like, football is one thing, but when you're up there talking about your passion, talking about the things that you've gone through and overcome, and like, how is that energy when you're doing those things?
I mean, it's crazy that, like, once again, back to our Creator, who, you know, in Psalms it talks about, you know, he literally he stitched you, he wove you, you know, whatever
in the womb,
and it's beautiful when that's being written, because it gives you this image of, like, God meticulously spending time. You know, it's not like he, like, put you together like some type of, like, you know, factory line, you know, totally. Like, just do okay, next one. It's like, no, he wove you, like, he spent time thinking. And so here's God again thinking about, I'm back to God's mindset here,
totally,
and he's
subtly
like and he's like, hey, this kid's gonna go through a lot, what should I give him? Well, I know I'm gonna give him the ability to, like, speak in front of a crowd, because he's gonna be able to use that to glorify me. And I kid you not, man, there's not been a time in my life where I've sought out speaking engagements. There's not a time in life I've, like, tried to, like, hustle for that. It's all just people, once they saw my story, wanted me to come speak. I had no idea what I was doing, but I went there, tried to share my story. I'm sure, like I said, I was horrible at the beginning or whatever, but from the very beginning, man, so, like, people were, hey, you're a really good speaker. It's just something God's blessed me with. It's a 100%, gift he's given me, and it is just remarkable the opportunities and the windows and the doors he's continued to open throughout all of it, throughout my entire life now, from 12 years old on, 13 years now, of going and sharing my story. And it just, to be able to glorify him in that way,
beautiful.
I mean, it's crazy. So basically,
thank you for using your gifts, brother. For real.
It's a privilege and an honor and something I don't take lightly.
I know it. I know you do. And going back to Danny, like, how he was helping with that piece, because it's a lot.
Right.
It's a lot, man. You're going to school full time.
Exactly.
Bro, D1, if y'all never played D1 sports, dude, any sports in college, honestly. But even at the D1 level, Pac-12, dude, crazy schedules, dog. Yes, crazy schedules. So, yeah, loop us back in here.
So, anyways, I snapped my junior year. And obviously the world, you know,
the world ruptured.
And
straight up.
So now all of a sudden we have this huge influx of demand. And Daniel, you know, was going through school. And he also, because of some other connections that we had made throughout, Daniel didn't even know he would ever do this, like, going into college. But, like, he literally, I went on a radio station of this dude in Denver who was an offensive lineman.
Okay.
And he actually won the Super Bowl with Denver in 2015.
Oh, nice.
He went to Notre Dame, though, so we don't mention that. But anyways, he, like, saw Daniel, like, kind of helping me with stuff, and he's like, well, actually, I need a guy too. So, like, Daniel started helping him out, and, like, so basically Daniel kind of had two guys now, and he's like, well, I'm a full-time student. Not that I can't manage this, but, like, is there an easy way where I can just, like, someone reaches out, like, I could just be like, hey, could you go to this website and just, like, submit this request, and like, I can handle it a little more efficiently.
Streamline that thing.
Streamline it.
Yeah.
Nothing, bro. There is nothing like that out there. So, you know, as business majors, like, well, this is interesting. So
yeah, I was gonna ask. I'm assuming he's a business major.
Yeah,
too.
he's a business major too. So
what'd you guys focus in? What was your?
It's just business administration.
Business administration. Yeah.
So, sure enough, we come up with this idea, like, hey, yeah, I guess we could create this platform which speakers could be on, and or really any talent. Yeah. And if someone wants to reach them, one, they have a real transparent, truthful way of reaching them. Because the other thing that's really hard about the speaking industry is that so many people list so many people they don't have just to try to get that incoming demand, and then
get the ticket sales.
they'll do a little bait and switch. They'll come in, they'll be like, hey, I see you list Makai Louie on your website, and then I'll be like, yeah, we do. Okay, I'll see if Makai's available, and I don't even know you, bro.
Wow.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like pretend for like a couple days that I'm like trying to, and then I'll come back and be like, yo, Makai's actually busy that day, but I do have this other similar dude like Makai that I think I could get you.
Yeah.
Guess what, bro? You didn't even know that demand was for you.
Wow.
Isn't that messed up?
That is. I hate that stuff, bro.
So
integrity is completely out the window.
Or even better, this happens too. These are some horror stories too.
Yeah.
Where all like back to that same thing. Let's say I do know someone who knows you, and that person say, "Hey, I want Makai for like $5,000." I'll say, "Okay," and then I go to guess what? I'll go to and this obviously gets them into the $100,000. I want Makai for $100,000.
Yeah.
I go to the guy that knows you. Hey, I just got this request from Makai for $75K. You think he'd be? What happened to the $100K?
Exactly.
Oh, I don't know. I actually took 25 of it because it came to me first when it should have never have.
Oh my gosh,
and
bro.
The top of the A list have cease and desist letters always go out of like, hey, you don't represent me. Please get my name. But you think these B and C like some of these
the
small
little ones?
They're
no one's seeing it.
Yeah, exactly. So
wow,
there's a lot of dishonesty in it. So on top of making the process more efficient and streamlined, we wanted to actually have a transparent, honest way where it's like, hey, if you know you're coming to his website and submitting a request for this person, it is going to that person.
That's beautiful.
It is going. So basically that was
great
our
idea, bro.
That was our idea.
That's phenomenal.
We very fortunately got investors through some crazy ways, and
I'd love offline. We'll talk more
offline
about that for sure. Very interested.
Our senior year, they start building the platform. I'd say near our end of our senior year, that platform was running. We had done some bug tests on it. We had actually put one of my speeches through it. It kind of worked.
Yeah.
And so here we are for the rest of 2019, like putting my stuff through it, some other people's stuff through it, mostly my stuff.
Yeah.
Fixing bugs, trying to get the
what
platform.
What perfect way you utilize yourself.
Exactly.
You know what's going on.
And it was working. And we actually at the end of 2019 got like 300 guys on the platform.
Let's go.
So we're like, dude, this hype, okay?
Yeah, it's working.
It's working.
It's working. People understand.
We finally got the platform kind of going without like.
Which is the I could only imagine.
Dude,
I could only imagine the software side of it.
It's proprietary. So like we literally have like over
the software is?
Yeah, we have over 250,000 lines of code in our platform. Oh my gosh,
that's so lit.
So
bro, that's amazing. I work for a software company, so
well, there you go, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's amazing.
But then check this out.
Congratulations. It's by the way, guys, so we haven't said this part. It's called Engage, right?
Yes, it's called Engage.
You can find it at engage.com.
Let'sengage.com.
What is it? Let's Engage?
Let'sengage.com.
It'll be in link in the descriptions. Trust.
So we land our pre-seed investment, like some actual money.
Yeah.
In January of 2020.
Okay.
Finally comes in. We're about to ramp up, bro. We are about to go get this thing. Guess what happens?
Yeah.
Okay, we are an event booking platform.
Oh my gosh.
Where we're booking events for speeches, for other experiences that involve crowds and
specifically, right? Almost in a way.
Almost specifically in a way, dude.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that is all gone.
Oh my god.
There is no more events.
And you had a full quarter before it actually like really happened too. Like, oh man.
There is no more events. So we are like, okay, so we're gonna very fortunately, because we are just right out of college. You know, we don't have office space. We don't have a ton of overhead.
Yeah.
Everyone stopped. There was only 2 people making salary, but everyone stopped taking money. We turned off marketing because we're like, we're not gonna market to nothing.
Right.
But here's what we did.
Completely closed off marketing.
Yes. Because we knew we weren't going to make any money. So what we did,
smart. That's extremely
smart.
So
we saved the dry powder we had.
Yeah.
And we focused on what we could control, which we saw an opportunity in this, which was what, for the first time probably ever since its birth, the entertainment industry, everyone in it, agents, talent, everyone was doing nothing.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Literally.
Everyone was like willing to sit at any table, listen to anything.
Literally, dude.
No, so guess what? We had a seat at so many tables that probably in a normal life would have been like, wow, we don't really have time for this startup, whatever.
Yeah.
So we started, agency partners started growing. We started reaching out to, talent.
Yeah.
By the end of 2020, I don't have this number totally locked down.
Sure.
We probably had over like 1,500 guys on the platform.
Gosh.
We weren't really like.
This was for? Did you guys pivot to virtual, or you guys?
So
still...
the virtual stuff started happening kind of like, I'd say August, September of 2020.
Gotcha.
And we kind of really didn't. We started booking a little bit, but not a ton.
Yeah, most people. Yeah, no, I get it.
So really, early 2021
that's
kind of was
amazing.
like, okay, things are kind of coming back. We're kind of getting used to this, like, and basically, so we started kind of turning on our marketing again, bro. And guess what? Now we have over 2,000 guys on the platform. Now we have 23. So we kept growing on that way, and now we have.
Let's go.
We have so like, now that we could turn on the marketing for all those people, and now the events were kind of coming back, we started seeing growth.
Yeah.
We actually started seeing tons of things going.
And you guys are hands off with the actual events themselves, right?
Hands off, yeah. We're just curating.
Oh my goodness,
the
that is so smart, Jake.
So now we have over 3,000 guys on the platform. You know, once the world opened up in, you know, especially Q2, Q3, Q4 of 21, we exploded.
Yeah,
and so we actually raised our seed round in the fall of 2021.
Nice.
And yeah, man, we are hitting record. We are blowing our I'd say, you know, we weren't so optimistic, but we were optimistic in our projections, and we're even blowing our projections out of the water. And so
congratulations,
yeah,
brother.
man, it's going really well.
Awesome.
But
Let's go, baby.
But who would have thought, man? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
totally,
we were an event booking platform in COVID.
Yeah.
We didn't let it stop us.
Exactly.
So
continuing on that resilience, bro. Continuing on it and seeing the impact from it, keeping your faith in God with it.
And just controlling what we could. Again, back to what
guys got creative, bro. You guys got very creative.
Guess what?
With
We
it.
found a way.
That's right, baby.
Back to what we talked about in the beginning, man. That's what we did. Like, we
had the will.
We had the will. So we found a way. We didn't sit there like we could have easily have been like, well, this was a fun idea, and I know, you know, we're all 22, bro. Like we're right out of college. We could have all just been like, you know,
sit on your hands, just like the whole world was doing.
Yeah, we could
just
have been
like
you know what, this was a fun idea, but like we're just gonna like ride. I guess, you know, we'll find jobs after this whole COVID thing. This is crazy. Like, no, man, we had the will. We were gonna see this thing succeed. We want to see this thing succeed. We believed in our idea. We believed in what we built already, even if we were so young.
It's so
found
badass,
a way,
man.
Found a way.
That is so cool. And this is something that you're doing. So what is your involvement with it nowadays?
So I'm the president.
Gotcha.
So my boy Daniel's the CEO, the one I was talking about. So he kind of really runs the day to day. I'm bigger picture, really just kind of making sure things are running smoothly. Obviously, you know, I pretty much get on a phone call with Daniel once, if not twice or 3 times a day.
Totally.
But I'm not so
in the weeds.
Yeah. If that makes sense.
Totally.
You know, I was very, you know, raising money, making connections, all that type of stuff I'm doing. But
I bet.
So
I was gonna say probably the beginning of it was probably you know, involved with the software piece of
dude.
it. Like, dude, I could imagine how many calls you were doing at that time, dude.
Well, I just
troubleshooting the bugs, working with software engineers.
So you have an idea.
Oh, I have a very keen idea.
It was a
the company I work for is called Audit Board. It's a audit risk and compliance software product line. So I didn't start my career within this, but nonetheless, I'm learning so much of being here and what goes into it, man, and like really how important it is for the people that are actually doing the codes.
Yes.
And how they're building it out long term.
Yes.
And
so you know, man, you
very
know
dialed.
exactly
Very
how
dialed.
crazy it was in the beginning, how frustrating it was, how silly we looked at some points in time. So yeah,
that's awesome. Well, congratulations to you, and wishing you abundance of success.
Thank you, man.
Bro.
Yeah,
because that's going to impact lives too. Like branching off from your impact, your abilities. You know, you went out and you're going to create a platform now that other people can streamline.
It's really cool, man.
And have integrity and ethics behind it rather than the doubt or questioning like, is this legit? Nah. You come to Jake, you come to Danny, you come to this team here, you're going to have it done legitimately.
Exactly. And
it's beautiful.
We've, you know, like I said, I'm not the only inspirational story in this world, you know.
Totally.
And to have people who, like, the other problem with the industry is, like any industry, guess what? The agents only have 24 hours a day, man. Who do you think they're going to give most of their time to? You know, the people that make them the most money.
Yeah.
So if you're starting off, if you're someone who's like not that, you know, busy, or even if your price point is below what's going to be determine they're worth their time.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna field those $5,000 requests. They won't even half of them won't even field a $10,000 or $15,000 request.
That's insane.
Because they're not making enough commission off of it to give it the time it needs. Because because their process is so inefficient.
Right.
But two,
It's
because
like broken.
because they have other clients and whatnot. And so for us, like, we could make money off of $1,000 engagement. Which, by the way, dude, like, guess what? A lot of these people who are starting off speaking, that's what they're getting. They're getting one, maybe two.
Which is insane.
But, like, it really...
Like, that's good, bro. Like,
I know.
Bro, that's good. That's really good money. For going and speaking and bringing your passion and energy, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And there's nothing exists besides maybe, like, some dude who decides that he wants to manage that and, like, makes that his living for some odd reason and is going to make... like, I don't know. Like, besides just some random
and you're
lone
talking
wolf,
about you're talking about competition wise, as far as
there's nothing out there that will service those guys.
Oh, dude, see that's beautiful, dude. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, man.
I'll be tapping into Let's Engage a little bit,
dude. You should,
as
man.
we build,
we your profile, bro.
As we build this thing, yeah. That's amazing. So, talk to us on the other piece, because we haven't talked about it much. Is about your golfing. Because you've been in some tournaments.
Yeah.
You sat down with the legend himself, Mr. Tiger Woods.
Mr. Tiger Woods.
Hit you up. Talk to us about that side of you, because I got buddies that think they can golf, bro. But I know you can golf.
Well, it's something that I think more people can sympathize with or relate to, other than, very few people try to long snap, right?
Right.
A lot of people have tried to swing a golf club.
Totally.
And so, and they find out I can golf and golf well. I mean, people are kind of like, well, how, like, really? How do you, what the? And honestly,
it's incredible.
So that was the thing. Once again, back to what we've been talking about this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
After going blind, it was, hey, here's a game that I love.
Yeah.
I have a will. I want to continue to play this game, enjoy it. How are we going to do that? We're going to find a way.
Yeah.
So it was my dad learning to line me up out there. It was me learning how to even make contact with the ball again.
Yeah.
It was finding all those ways, and we put in a lot of time, a lot of practice. A lot of people are like, how do you do this? Like, dude, you have no idea the practice and time that's
the reps, dude. The reps. I could, dude.
So,
yeah. I mean, when you guys were going out there, you and your pops, like, how many hours would you spend typically? Like, when you were like going out there, like, you guys knew you're about to put some reps in.
Hour and a half, 2.
Yeah. Just straight technique, though.
Well, yeah. Just, I mean, there's so many different aspects, right? Of golf.
That's
I mean,
true.
that's the cool thing about golf. That's, you got 14 different clubs in your bag. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's an endless amount
elements to the course,
different shots you can hit. So
yeah.
But at first, man, it was really just trying to learn how to make contact.
Mm-hmm.
But we really found a way that, one, just with swing repetition, working on my swing, that we could deliver solid contact. And then obviously we found a way that my dad could, line me up pretty efficiently. And then we found a way that he could kind of describe what, so we just found a way and started obviously playing better. I mean, we're talking 10 steps forwards, 11 step backwards, 12 step forward.
Yep.
And, even I played my freshman year at Orange Lutheran.
I was gonna say you played at OLU.
Yeah. So
hell yeah.
Made the frost shot team my freshman year, but dude, that was only a year and a half after losing my eyesight. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, I was crazy to even think I could play competitive golf at that point. I'm a year and a half. This is like, August.
It's brand new.
Yeah, it's brand new. Okay.
It's crazy, dude.
And here I am thinking that I could play golf, like, competitively in high school.
Yeah.
And I like, they're not going to turn anyone away, like, it's kind of the frost off deals. Like, hey, if you want to play, you want to play.
Totally.
Bro, there was some times that almost mentally broke me out there.
Really?
Because I would miss the ball, dude. Like, there'd be times I would blow up. As frost off, we had this rule where it was double par plus 1.
Okay.
So say it's a par 4, if you're on your 9th stroke,
yeah,
and you haven't made it in the hole yet, you just pick up and just put a 9 on the scorecard.
Gotcha.
There would be times, bro, I'd be out there where I would do that like 7 out of the 9 holes, dude.
That's demeaning. It can be. It can be.
And guess what?
Sure.
The other kids out there are kind of like, why? Like, I could tell what they were thinking, which is, why the hell is this blind kid out here doing this to himself? Like, no one's making him play this.
Because they're not looking through the right paradigm, baby.
Exactly. Like, and I kind of honestly sometimes question, I'm like, why don't I just go have fun with my dad on the weekends? Like, why am I subjecting myself to the stress, to the embarrassment, to like the anxiety of playing these matches.
Because you're a freaking competitor, my boy.
Exactly. Because I knew I belonged out there, and damn it, I was gonna find a way to be out there.
That's right.
And so we kept
love
practicing. We kept working through it. And by my senior year, I had made varsity, and I was I wasn't the best one on the team, but like I was posting scores. And,
Yeah, bro. You weren't picking up the ball no more.
Yeah, and it was just really special to see that, and then obviously continue to get better. Wasn't able to play as much during college for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But the first time I really started putting practice after I graduated was the first time I was able to play in what we call the USBG, which is the United States Blind Golf Association.
Yeah.
They had a U.S. Nationals in Vegas in the fall of 2019.
So dope.
Ended up winning that thing, man.
Yeah, that's right. You were champion, yeah?
Champion.
Let's go, baby.
Bro, I shot a 38 on the back nine of that tournament the last day.
Oh, my God, bro.
Yeah, so yeah, man.
Congrats on that too. I remember hitting you up when that happened. That was incredible.
So
bro.
still putting a lot of time and effort into it.
You told that Jake back in Frostsoft days to shut up. That those doubts that were creeping in. You just said shut up. Like, dude, you took a gap and played D1 football at USC, came back and won a championship. You know what I'm saying? Come on,
a lot of practice.
Come on,
a lot of practice,
and that's what it takes.
It
though.
does, man. It takes hard work.
Everything we do. Everything we do in this life, man.
Yeah.
When it comes, whether it's relationships.
I think a lot of people don't get that.
No, they miss it. They miss it.
I don't know. I have no idea where this expectation of this easy is coming, because
I don't know
there's
either.
nothing worth doing, but practically nothing actually. Just anything.
No.
Nothing's easy in this life.
No, bro.
If it's easy, there's a reason, and the reason is because you're getting scammed.
Yes.
Like, honestly.
Yes.
Like,
bro.
honestly, if you're looking at a situation and being like, wow, this really just came to, like,
can I find a corner to cut?
Like, no,
dude, you're never gonna. You're just never gonna get it.
You look at that situation and be like, where am I getting scammed in this? Because
100%,
dude, it's not that easy.
No,
Like, it's just not that easy.
And then a lot of people know my story about losing all that weight, brother.
Yeah.
Like, it goes back to that too. Like, there were times like where you can cut corners. You can completely starve yourself. You can get there.
Yeah.
Within 14, 21 days, bro, you're gaining 15 pounds back.
Yep.
You're unhealthy.
Yep.
And you learn those things, but again, it goes back to repetition and resiliency and resilience and sticking with it, being absolutely dialed into what you promised yourself.
Yeah.
And never going away from it. Like, there are situations where God will call you away from certain situations, and you will know.
Absolutely.
But nonetheless, in those situations where God's put you in a certain situation or has called you to do something like losing weight or all the challenges that you've been able to overcome in your life, like, it takes us. We have to want to do these things for ourselves, because no one else is going to do it.
Yeah.
No one's going to pick up our feet and have us move forward and go do those things.
Nope.
Or to switch on whatever goes on in our head to stir up that will inside of us.
Nope, you got to do it.
Everyone, you have to want it.
It's you at first.
And it's a bummer because and I'm sure you've experienced this in your time of inspiring people and having those deep conversations with people and trying to help them understand what it takes to overcome these things in their lives, and people still missing it and understanding that there is no easy way. Anything you want is going to take diligent discipline more than anything, which if you don't understand discipline in of itself, it is doing things when you don't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times it's challenging things,
Mm-hmm.
not the things that we like to do. It's typically the things that you are going to have to put that work in for.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worth it every single time, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time. And for anyone that's listening to this, watching this, it is absolutely 1,000% worth every single ounce of effort that you put into it, because your relationships are going to be better. Your relationship with yourself, is going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
To bring it back a little bit, it's going to be better for yourself, and then it's going to trickle into everything that matters to you in your life, and it's going to enhance your human experience, your connection with God. Everything gets enhanced, and the more you drive that in your life,
because it's
the more it
respecting yourself.
expands. Exactly. There's only one you in this life, guys. There is only one of you. No one can experience what you experience on a daily basis.
Like, if you put it in this way, right? Like, Makai, if tonight, like, I texted you at 5:30 and was like, oh man, I like my kind of tummy hurts. Oh man, I don't really feel like doing the podcast tonight. Like everyone would call that rude.
Right.
Everyone would call that like flaky, like that's what everyone would call it, right?
Totally.
Because that would be like a rude thing to do to you. Like that would kind of be like,
you broke a promise.
Yeah, I
whatever.
broke my word.
Commitment,
right?
Broke your word. Yeah.
But when we do that to ourselves, no one calls us out on that. Why? Because it's not impacting anyone else but yourself. So you take it and you think if someone did what you just did to you, you would call that rude.
That's right.
But you just did it to yourself.
That's
Is it not
right.
rude still? No, it is. Like
it's so disrespectful.
You told yourself you would be at the weight room at 6:30 in the morning. Like
your ass better be in there at 6:30.
The fact you're sleeping at 7, like that's rude to yourself. Like
is.
if your friend did that to you, if you're texting them like, "Hey, I'm here," and they're like sleeping at 7, you'd be pissed off at that person.
Absolutely.
Well, why aren't you pissed off
You
at
lose
yourself?
your trust. And in the other piece, you would lose the trust.
You would.
And it goes the same thing right to what you're talking about, brother. Thank you for bringing this because you start losing the trust in yourself.
Yeah.
And the more
that shows.
The more you compound that, the worse it gets, and the harder the more work and more effort and more consistency that it's going to take for you to get out of that mindset.
You're gonna stop telling yourself that because subconsciously you can't trust yourself.
100%, and you're not going to be able to trust other people too, because it will affect other people over time. You don't think it's going to, but you're going to start seeing your relationships dwindle. People aren't going to want to be around you because, bro, you're not sticking to your own commitments.
Yeah, you build a habit of breaking commitment.
Absolutely, and people feel that, man, no matter whether you believe it or not.
I just think it's so funny, man, that people get so upset with how others treat them.
Dude.
And then they don't even pay attention how they treat themselves.
That's right.
It's like just pretend like you're a different person for 1 second and ask how you treat yourself and ask if you would be okay being treated like that by someone else, or if you like someone you care about or love, ask yourself, would you be okay if someone treated them like that? What would you tell that person? Hey, man, I don't think you should be friends with the person anymore because they don't really treat you that well.
Totally, bro. It's factual. It is absolutely factual. So, for action items, A, fix your self-talk. Actually, spend time with yourself first. If you're not spending enough time for yourself, creating silence in your life, where you can really be in your thoughts and start to understand who you are, why you are the way you are, all these things, that's where you want to start. Peel back the layers, understand what your excuses are, the things that you're BSing in, the things you're coasting in, the thing you're cutting corners on, and start from there and start building the trust up back with yourself. And you will see over time with the consistency, stop thinking about all the crap that you've done against what you've always told yourself you were going to do. Forget it. You got today. Start today. Start with that process. Ingrain it into your soul, into your DNA, and keep going. But, dude, that's powerful. That is powerful stuff, bro. Oh, my goodness.
This was fun, man.
This was really fun, brother. I just, to kind of close this thing up, man, is there anything that we just dropped some bombs.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if the people could take anymore, man.
But you know what, guys? Go follow my boy Jake Olson. We're going to have his links in the description. We're going to have letsengage.com in the description. We'll have his books in the description as well. Everything that you could go find Jake Olson at, please go follow him, man. He's got a wonderful content strategy, building a wonderful ethical-driven, integrity-driven business, which I cannot respect. I mean, I can respect immensely. But, brother, thank you so much for your time. Time is the most valuable thing that us humans have. And with all the things that you do, I just appreciate your friendship that God's brought into both of our lives, and the memories that we've created and the ones that we're going to make, man. So, and this is one of them.
Appreciate you, Makai. Like I said, wouldn't have missed it for the world.
That's it, man. Thank you so much. Guys, as always, man, take care of your bodies. Take care of your minds, take care of your souls, and take care of the people around you. This is Orange County's very own. I'm your host, Makai Louie, and it's been a pleasure. We'll see you guys soon. Much love. Peace out. Let's go, baby. That's a wrap.
There you go.
That's a wrap.
Let's go, bro.